The cards you see here is going to be a representation of what is going to be shifting in the meta of Pokemon Pocket. What up peeps, Nuggy here, and welcome to today's video of the Meta Shift, where we're going to be talking about Fantastical Parade, which is the set that's coming out in a couple of days, and what some of the cards mean for just in sort of the implications of what things are going to happen with this set, because I think it's a lot bigger than what people realize, at least in my opinion, so please take this with a grain of salt. But I'm going to be covering about a few topics, including Psychic, of course, which is a major factor in this set. We've got the Dark counters for it. We've got energy management, which I think a lot of people may miss. Also, we have a few overlooked supporters and item cards that you guys may not know as well. And just to finish off, if you guys are enjoying this, we're going to give you a bonus Gengar take on one of the decks that I think is going to be really cool. So stick around, feel free to like, subscribe, and let's get down to business. Alrighty, let's get down to number one, which is the rise of Psychic decks. Now, as you can tell, that this is going to be a core meta shift into the game, because B2 isn't just adding these Psychic cards, they're basically supercharging it. So it's going to be, I assume this is going to be everywhere. And the reason is because Meta Gardevoir is going to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest, Mega EX that we have here in Pokemon Pocket, just because of its ability to have only 2 energy, do 110 damage, but the top of that is that it gets 3 energy that you can put anywhere into your other Psychic Pokemon. So that is really, really powerful. And when you compare it up with the new cards that we see in the trailer, like the Peculiar Plaza, where there's no retreat cost there, Diantha, which sacrifices 2 psychic energy but heals a whopping 90, you can see how this is really, really insane. And to top of that, for card draw, we're going to add in Meloetta as well, because at the start of the turn, if it's in the active, Meloetta will draw a random psychic Pokemon from your deck into your hand. So it's got almost everything with just these 4 cards alone. And the 2 cards that I can see that it's going to make the most effect on right now is going to be cards like Mewtwo as well as Giratina. You could almost essentially, with like a Dawn or something, attack, charge with Giratina EX, and then Candy evolve into Mega Gardevoir and attack for 110, essentially on turn 3, amongst many other things that you can do. So this is going to be really scary. Very excited to see how this is going to play out and if it's going to just absolutely bust open the meta. But what is also one of the drawbacks of combos like this is that you're going to see a lot of this when the meta starts up again, because it's just that prevalent, right? So we're going to see heaps of Psychic, and of course with Psychics we're going to need to look at some counters. So let's move on to the next one, which is going to be about the Dark type response. When there are many Psychic decks running around, then the go-to response is going to have to be having Dark type Pokemon coming into play. So I think Obstagoon here is going to be quite an interesting one to use. I don't know how relevantly meta it's going to be, but because it's going to be using the card like Piers here, it's going to have that effect where, well, when you do have an Obstagoon in place, Piers will essentially rip off 2 energy from the active Pokemon in front of it. So this is going to work especially well on units like Gardevoir. It's trying to ramp up and you're trying to deny that. On top of that, there are a few other Pokemon that will be highlighted as well, such as Mega Absol for disruption. You've got Darkrai, of course, for that little ping damage. You've got Hydreigon, which I think is still going to be quite relevant because it's probably one of the only Dark type Pokemon that can kind of ramp in advance to keep up and make sure that if you are going up against a Psychic type that's going to ramp their energy, this essentially denies it and can get rid of those pesky rampers in by turn 3 if you're lucky to be in that position. On top of that, we also have the Cyrus supporter card. It's always there to be useful. You could use any other supporter card as well, like Sabrina or even Repel, depending if they're a basic or not. But this is just to showcase that there are going to be, I think for the most part, a lot of the current Dark decks should suffice. But like I said, we're going to have to see if there's going to be any other stadium cards that's going to be allowed to be put in for the Dark type and see what kind of benefits they get from there. Hey guys, we're going to move on to energy management as well as overlook supporter cards and item or tool cards here. So this one, for me, I think Sightseer is actually quite strong. and I wanted to give you a few examples of what it can pair well into. And the other one that I thought that will be quite strong that many people maybe not have thought about it yet might be the Metal Core Barrier. Now I know that for a few of you guys, the first one that comes to mind with Metal Core Barrier is probably going to be the new Mega Mawile EX card, since you can probably run this as a 19T and just tank until you have the energy and start wailing away without you know, having to worry about it getting damaged. So it's a really good card to use for that type of Pokemon as well. There is another variant where I can think of it using a baby, but maybe we'll save that for another video. But the other metal type Pokemon that will benefit with Metal Core Barrier, as well as using the Sightseer supporter card, is going to be either Melmetal EX or the Mega Steelix EX as well, just because they are both stage 1s. For Melmetal EX, you could use the Metal Core Barrier on just a Meltan and amass that energy and feel a bit safer knowing that they cannot do a lot. Like, it can block up to 50 damage, which, you know, a lot of Meltan users would be afraid of keeping that in play in the active if they're at risk of getting carried in one shot and then evolving to Melmetal and doing the damage that you need to do. As for Mega Steelix, he's just basically a fat tank, and I know the 4 energy is going to be tough, but if you can somehow manage like a Brock and an Onyx, Sightseer into Mega Steelix, then throw on the Metal Core Barrier, that could be pretty good as well. But this is just some of the examples, as you can see, with a lot of stage 1s, as well as using the Pokemon tool card there, that could be really effective. And to finish up, I thought I'd just bring in another Pokemon that doesn't use any metal, of course, but the evolutions. I think they're going to be coming back in a way. I think they're going to be really strong with Sightseer because we already have the basic where they can quick evolve from turn 1, and then if you can use Sightseer, you can instantly go to something like either Leafeon or even Jolteon and start disrupting, so that helps with the energy management there. Espeon is a great example if you're going to go up against energy rampers as well. Bring that into the fray whenever you need to, and then you know, just do damage based on how much energy the bench of the opponent has. So it's more of a nice little mid to late game sneak attack there. So I just really wanted to show that with the light bulbs in my head for cards like Sightseer. I think Sightseer, honestly, to me, will be better than like Piers, but we're gonna have to wait and see, right? We don't know what the rest of the cards are, but hopefully you enjoy this little segment of why I think these cards are going to be strong. And let's head on over to the last part where we'll show you a little bonus where I think there's a pretty good combination there if you're worried about all these supporter cards. I think there is one particular Pokemon that may be able to do something about it. If you guys made it to the end segment here, I just wanted to show you a little Theorycraft that I made, which is going to be Gengar. It's one of our, you know, we were a Gengar enthusiast. We've always wanted to make it work. And I think now more than ever with Fantastical Parade, this card is now going to be relevant just because of this stadium card, Peculiar Plaza, to be able to retreat for 2 less, which is what Gengar EX has. That's going to be really important for this Pokemon because you could essentially throw this out on turn 3 and then just kind of deny the opponent from using Copycat if you're afraid of that or whatnot, or at the same time it will give you stacks of Copycat to be able to use for your own as well, which is going to be really good. Now, pairing this up with either a Diantha, I think a Lily will work because Diantha requires you to have 2 energy to be able to heal that whopping 90, but keeping that in the back burner, I think 1 copy of that's going to be fine. I think either an Indeedee, maybe a Meloetta because we've got the Stadium card, but Indeedee or Meloetta or both. I think this is going to help keep Gengar topped up while you're building that energy if you need to, but at the end of the day, we are going to be charging it for the Mega Gardevoir, and you know, you can bring in a regular Gengar as well to be that active just to kind of store for that time. And doing so, I think this is going to be a great play for those who love disruption. You know, Gengar here is going to make use of just, you know, bothering them and whatnot, giving time for Gardevoir to build and then transferring the energy that Gardevoir puts, as well as tanking into the Gengar EX. And that's going to be your end game there. Slap on a helmet or whatnot, top up with Indeedee. I think it's going to be a pretty potent combo. Now, the only way to test this, of course, is to wait to it to go live, but honestly, as you can see, I can't wait to see what these combos do. Will we see the rise of Gengar in this expansion? Time will tell, but if you liked everything here, feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.